What if the President of the United States was a prisoner in his own house? This was supposed to be impossible, but President Thompson hasn't stepped off the White House grounds in 17 days. It's not because he's sick, and it's not a scheduling issue. It's because the Secret Service has put security protocols in place that are so strict, every single public appearance gets cancelled. They call it credible threats that can't be verified but also can be ignored. Rally locations suddenly have structural safety concerns. Travel routes are plagued by transportation security issues. Even Air Force One just sits on the tarmac, its crew waiting for flights that never get cleared for takeoff. The very agents sworn to protect him have quietly placed him under house arrest, all disguised as enhanced security, and he's starting to figure it out. His protectors have become his prison guards. This isn't some wild conspiracy theory. It's a cold, hard calculation. The Secret Service has made the most dangerous decision in its history. They've decided the biggest threat to the president's safety isn't a foreign assassin or a domestic terrorist. It's the president himself. It all started 6 weeks ago. A routine security check for a rally in Phoenix. The venue was secure, but the intelligence briefing was a nightmare. 5 separate extremist groups were all planning to be in Phoenix that same weekend. White supremacist militias, anti-government protesters, and 3 other groups the FBI had flagged as potentially violent. The Secret Service realized protecting the president wasn't just about stopping a direct attack. It was about trying to control thousands of armed civilians who could turn on him if things got chaotic. So they made a call nobody had ever made before: cancel the event. Not because of a specific plot, but because the whole situation was just too unpredictable to secure. What happens when the protectors decide the person they're protecting is the real danger? Follow for more. Have you ever wondered what would happen if the people meant to protect the president decided his plans were just too dangerous? Imagine this. The White House wants a big political rally in Phoenix. It's crucial for momentum, a show of strength. But the Secret Service comes back with a stunning response. Not that it's risky, but that it's a mathematical certainty something will go wrong. They show charts and data proving they can't guarantee the president's safety. The White House insists the rally must happen, and then the unthinkable. For the first time ever, the Secret Service says no, they refuse to provide protection. Officially, the rally is cancelled due to a scheduling conflict. But the truth is, the guardians of the presidency just told the president that his political survival and his physical survival were at odds. This wasn't a one-time thing. It was the beginning of a total lockdown. Once that line was crossed, every public appearance came under the same impossible scrutiny. A fundraiser in Palm Beach, a place he'd been to dozens of times, cancelled. The reason? Transportation vulnerabilities. Not a specific threat, mind you. Just a general possibility of risk. Every route, every venue, every option had a disqualifying flaw. The president was becoming a prisoner of his own protection. Thanks for watching. The third cancellation was a speech at the Pentagon, the most secure building in America. Even this fortress was deemed temporarily unsuitable for presidential visits due to ongoing construction projects that created unpredictable foot traffic patterns and compromised emergency evacuation routes. The irony was lost on no one. The president could safely visit the building that housed the most powerful military in human history. By the 4th week, the pattern was clear. Every venue had security issues that couldn't be resolved. Every travel plan had logistical problems that couldn't be overcome. Every public event had threat assessments that recommended postponement pending further evaluation. The president began to suspect what was happening, but he couldn't prove it. How do you argue with people whose job is to keep you alive? How do you override security concerns when the people raising them have access to intelligence you are not cleared to see? The genius of their strategy is its plausible deniability. Every request triggers security assessments that take weeks, identifying concerns requiring additional evaluation. Evaluations reveal intelligence requiring updated threat assessments. Updates identify variables requiring extended preparation. It's not rejection, it's a bureaucratic maze where clearance approval outlasts political value. But the president doesn't understand bureaucratic mazes. He understands loyalty and betrayal. And increasingly, he views his own protection detail as betrayers. The breaking point came last Tuesday when he demanded to visit Arlington National Cemetery for a Veterans Day event. Arlington Cemetery, one of the most secure and sacred locations in America, where presidents had laid wreaths for generations without incident. If the Secret Service couldn't clear a presidential visit to Arlington, they weren't being cautious. They were being deliberately obstructionist. The request was submitted at AM with White House staff expecting routine approval. By PM, the Secret Service had identified 17 separate security concerns that would require resolution before a presidential visit could be approved. Traffic control issues on Memorial Bridge that could create motorcade exposure windows. Crowd management problems in the cemetery itself due to uncontrolled civilian access to elevated positions. Coordination challenges with Arlington's separate security apparatus that might create command structure conflicts, but the most telling concern was listed as weather-related visibility restrictions that could compromise Overwatch positioning effectiveness. It was a cloudless 70-degree day in November. The weather concern wasn't meteorological. It was political. The Secret Service had decided that the president's presence at Arlington would create a media attention environment that posed unspecified but insurmountable security risks. That's when the president realized he wasn't being protected. He was being quarantined. The psychological impact of involuntary confinement creates paranoia and irrational behavior. When the confined person is the president, this extends beyond the individual to the entire government system. He can't conduct presidential functions, maintain political relationships, or project American power. Most critically, he can't maintain presidential authority if perceived as controlled by his own staff. Have you ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes at the White House? Some Secret Service agents seem to believe they're protecting the president by keeping him isolated. They think the political damage from this is less risky than the security threats of him being out in public. They might be right about the security part, but they've created a whole new problem. This approach has turned the presidency into a performance. The president looks powerful, but he's being managed by people we never elected and can't even see. It's all symbols and no substance. And eventually, symbols without real power just fall apart. His approval ratings are dropping, not because of bad policies, but because he seems weak and cut off. Allies are keeping their distance, and donors are looking elsewhere. This isn't just about one person. It's about the very nature of leadership. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights. Ever wonder what happens when the Secret Service yells lockdown? It's more than just a closed door. Picture this. The president is in a crisis meeting, maybe about a natural disaster or an international incident. Suddenly, a threat is detected. The Secret Service swoops in, and everything stops. The president is moved to a secure location, completely isolated. But what about the crisis? For those critical moments or even hours, the chain of command is broken. Communication lines can be severed, and vital decisions are delayed. A delayed response to a hurricane could cost lives. A hesitation in foreign policy could escalate a conflict. While the lockdown is designed to protect one person, its ripple effects can be immense, potentially putting millions at risk. It's a razor's edge balance between security and governance. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, hit that subscribe button for more deep dives. The Secret Service agents who designed this strategy aren't rogue operators or deep state conspirators. They're dedicated professionals who have made a rational calculation about presidential security. But rational security calculations can produce irrational political outcomes. And the outcome they've produced is a presidency that exists in name only, conducted by a president who governs from a position of house arrest imposed by the people he employs to protect him. This creates a constitutional crisis without solution. The president can't fire the Secret Service without eliminating protection. Secret Service can't modify protocols without endangering his life. Americans can't vote on protected versus active presidency because unelected security professionals make that choice. We're witnessing a national security state where security overrides democracy, with decisions made by professionals answering only to their judgment. The president hasn't left the White House in 17 days. But the real question isn't when he'll be allowed to leave. It's whether he'll ever be allowed to govern again, or whether the presidency has become a ceremonial position controlled by the people who are supposed to serve it. The Secret Service has succeeded in their mission. The president is perfectly safe. He's also perfectly powerless. And in the strange calculus of American democracy, It's becoming unclear which condition poses the greater threat to the republic. The bodyguards have become the government, the protectors have become the controllers, and the President of the United States has become the most secure prisoner in the most powerful country in the world. The question now is whether 17 days of house arrest will become 17 months, or whether someone will eventually decide that a presidency without a president is more dangerous than a president without perfect security. But that decision won't be made by the president. It won't be made by Congress. It won't be made by the voters. It will be made by the Secret Service, because they are the only ones with the authority to decide what constitutes acceptable risk for the person they are supposed to protect. And they've decided that the biggest risk to presidential safety is the presidency itself.